Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to unpack complex ideas, make them clearer, just for you. Today we're diving into, well, a fascinating set of 5 words, words you probably hear all the time, but um, their subtle power really shapes our emotions, doesn't it?
It really does, and our interactions, the whole dynamics of relationships, actually.
Exactly. We've got some great source material for this deep dive. It's a narrative, a story, actually, that defines these terms, but also kind of weaves them together. Hopefully that makes them stick a bit better.
Makes them more memorable.
Yeah. So our mission, to go beyond just the dictionary definitions of resent, discretion, reproach, instill, and impose, we want you to really grasp the nuances, spot them in action, maybe get that shortcut to being, well, truly informed.
Sounds good. Where do we start?
Okay, let's unpack this. We'll explore how simmering bitterness can turn into silent criticism,
Right.
how trust, or maybe the lack of it, plays into delicate situations, and how putting in real effort can actually change some deeply ingrained patterns. So let's kick things off with our first word, resent. You know that feeling? That slow burn when, say, a coworker keeps getting credit for your work, or maybe you're always stuck doing a chore you think someone else should be doing.
Oh, yeah, that feeling.
That's not just being annoyed, right? That's resentment building up. It's this bitter indignation, this feeling of injustice.
Well, perceived injustice, often. It feels very real, though.
Totally. It's that lingering sting when you feel you've been treated unfairly. Just kind of simmers. So in our story today, we've got these siblings, Liam and Maya. For years, Maya did pretty much all the chores, while he was off pursuing hobbies, seemingly carefree. And this massive imbalance led Maya to resent him deeply. She saw his easy life versus her, endless tasks.
And what's really fascinating about resentment, I think, is that it's rarely just a quick flash of anger.
No.
It's this deep-seated feeling. It often comes from things left unsaid, expectations not met, feeling overlooked again and again. It just builds.
It really does.
And for you listening, recognizing that shift, from just being frustrated to actual resentment in yourself or spotting it in someone else, that can be a huge warning sign.
A warning sign for the relationship.
Definitely. It suggests there's some underlying strain, maybe something serious brewing that could really damage things if it's not addressed. Like a silent leak, really.
That's a powerful way to put it. So it's the building part, the unaddressed part, that's crucial.
Yeah.
And yet, even with all that resentment simmering between Liam and Maya, there was still kind of this fragile bit of trust there. At least once.
Which brings us to...
Which brings us nicely to our next word, discretion. How do we handle those sensitive moments when trust is maybe shaky, but still needed?
Yeah, good question.
Discretion. Maybe it's more than just keeping quiet, isn't it? It's about like having a feel for the situation, the social dynamics.
Social intelligence, almost.
Exactly. Knowing not just what to say, but crucially, when to say nothing. Especially if someone's vulnerable or reputations are involved. It's about being tactful, careful.
Showing good judgment.
Right. So one day, Liam, maybe not fully grasping how deep Maya's resentment ran, he asks her for a favor, help with a secret project.
Okay.
And he genuinely trusted her to use discretion, not spill the beans to their parents. And that moment, it kind of highlights that even when things are tense, that little seed of trust can sometimes still be there.
It's interesting because discretion isn't passive, is it? It's an active choice. You're exercising judgment.
That's true.
When someone shows discretion, they're respecting boundaries, thinking about consequences. But it also makes you think about the power involved.
Power. How so?
Well, knowing something's sensitive gives you a kind of power, right? Discretion uses that power responsibly, but the lack of discretion, that can destroy trust built up over years. It's a fragile thing.
That's a really good point about it being active, taking effort, especially when feelings are already messy. And speaking of messy feelings, let's shift from that quiet trust to something else that's often quiet but pretty potent. Our third word, reproach.
Yeah, reproach.
Yeah, reproach. It's not like a big shouting match. It's more subtle, that quiet look of disappointment, maybe.
Like the look from a parent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know you've messed up, but they don't even need to yell. It's a clear sign of displeasure, but often, totally silent.
It's very effective sometimes.
So, back to Liam. He starts to, maybe a bit late, realize how much he'd taken Maya for granted. He begins noticing this subtle look of reproach in her eyes. Every time she's stuck doing all the work again. It was the silent criticism that finally landed, he got it.
Yeah, and what's powerful there is how those subtle signals that look, maybe a sigh, a certain tone, they can communicate so much more than yelling sometimes.
Definitely.
It kind of forces the other person to think, doesn't it, without putting them on the defensive immediately. But, it does raise a question.
What's that?
When does that subtle reproach actually work as communication, and when does it just become, well, passive-aggressive, or just plain uncommunicative, leading to even more frustration if the other person doesn't get the hint?
That's a really fine line, isn't it? Probably depends a lot on the intent behind it.
I think so.
Maya's, look, in the story, it sounds like it came from genuine hurt, not manipulation.
Right.
The key seems to be when that unspoken feeling actually gets understood, like it finally did by Liam. And once that happens, well, that opens the door for change.
Exactly. Which leads us where?
Which brings us perfectly to our fourth word, instill.
Okay, instill.
To instill something.
Mm-hmm.
It means to gradually but firmly establish an idea or an attitude or a value in someone's mind. It's a process, right? Not just a one-off thing.
Like planting a seed.
Yeah, exactly. Like a coach working to instill discipline through drills, practice day after day.
Yeah.
Or parents trying to instill a love of reading by, making it fun and regular.
It takes time and consistency.
Definitely. It's about planting something that takes root over time through consistent effort. So Liam, wanting to fix things, he starts to actively instill a sense of fairness in their relationship.
How did he do that?
He started doing more chores, showing Maya real appreciation, consistently trying to share the load. He deliberately worked to instill this new dynamic, one built on mutual respect.
What's really compelling about instill is that gradual, persistent quality you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about demanding change overnight. It's about chipping away at old habits, gently but firmly building new ones. It really speaks to the power of consistent, positive action over, say, grand gestures or lectures.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so for anyone listening who's trying to change behavior, foster a new habit in yourself or someone else thinking in terms of instilling it, suggest that small, steady steps are probably way more effective.
Like the tortoise and the hare, almost.
Kind of. It underlines that real change is usually an ongoing process, not just a destination you suddenly arrive at.
That's such a great point about consistency. It really is the long game when you're trying to shift how people think or act. And speaking of shifting things, once Liam and Maya got this new, fairer system going, they hit another hurdle. Yeah, preventing outside forces like their parents from messing it up. Which brings us to our final word for today, impose.
Impose. Okay.
To impose means to basically force something on someone, force it to be accepted or put in place.
Often against their will.
Exactly. It carries that sense of burden or a rule being pushed onto you, like the government imposing a new tax, maybe.
Or even a friend who keeps imposing their advice when you didn't ask for it.
Right. Or imposing their help when you just want to handle it yourself.
Yeah.
It's that act of pushing something onto someone else.
Got it.
So after Liam and Maya set up their new, fairer chore system, they realized they had to make sure their parents didn't just impose the old way of doing things on them again.
Ah, protect the new system.
Yeah, they knew they had to communicate clearly, stand their ground, basically, to stop the old, unequal habits from being forced back on them.
This word, impose, it immediately brings up ideas of power, doesn't it? And autonomy. Well, when something is imposed on you, it challenges your agency, your ability to choose. It makes you, the listener, think. How do we deal with situations where rules, expectations, even solutions are imposed on us?
Yeah, what do we do?
Is the only answer to resist? Or are there ways to maybe communicate, negotiate, try to change those conditions without just having a big fight? Often, the alternative to having something imposed requires really clear, assertive communication and maybe some negotiation skills.
That's a great practical takeaway for anyone listening. Sometimes you accept what's imposed, sometimes you push back, but knowing it's happening, being aware, that's the first step.
Absolutely. Awareness is key.
So wow, we've been on quite a journey with Liam and Maya, haven't we?
We have.
We saw how that deep resentment, which wasn't really dealt with at first, it showed up through that subtle reproach. But then there was that fragile trust rooted in discretion.
Right. That moment with the secret project.
Exactly. And that allowed Liam to finally start taking steps to instill a new, fairer way of being in their relationship.
Actively working towards change.
And ultimately, That helped them stand together to prevent the old, unequal system from being imposed on them again by others.
It's actually quite remarkable when you line them up like that, how understanding just these 5 words, resent, discretion, reproach, instill, impose, gives you this incredibly powerful lens.
A lens for what?
For looking at human relationships, sure, but also broader things. Communication patterns, how organizations work, even shifts in society.
Wow, yeah?
These aren't just vocab words you memorize, they're like tools, analytical tools for dissecting all those subtle ways, our actions, our feelings, the power dynamics around us,
Yep.
how they really shape our world.
That's a fantastic way to think about it.
Yeah.
So what does this all mean for you listening? Well, maybe next time you feel that little flicker of irritation or you notice a subtle reaction in someone else, pause for a second. Think, could one of these words, resent, discretion, reproach, instill, impose, actually define what's going on underneath?
Yeah, try to name the dynamic.
Exactly. You might just find new ways to understand those unwritten rules, those emotional currents flowing around you, and maybe, just maybe, find new ways to navigate or even change them.